So, Superman and Lois continues on with an episode that demonstrates how filler is supposed to be done. It's not really filler, per se, because this series hasn't done that. But this is an episode that, rather than just going on and rinse, lather, repeat plot points and stuff like that, just to get through it so you can say you had this many episodes in a season or what have you, these are all elements and stories and plots that are set up, and it moves it forward, moves it along, albeit a little slower, but they do it better than certainly than all the other CW shows. So, what are the plot points? Well, we've got the obviously Superman versus Bizarro. We do get some of that. One of the aspects of this show is that you can see they've spent some money on it for the special effects and whatnot. Well, they kind of backed off here. It still works. It's fine. There's a battle with Bizarro first with the super kids that the military have recruited. And then, of course, Superman himself. And finally, Steel, John Henry Irons shows up and once again gets his ass handed to him. But, he had to do it because he was helping Superman. Now he's in the hospital. So that's another, and that's one of the other story elements about his daughter being upset about all of this. And now she's mad that this happened. But I think that'll push her more to fix up the suit and make it better and probably even develop one of her own. So you got that going on. But the battle with Bizarro is just done out in some, I don't know if he was heading back to the Fortress of Solitude or what, but it's just this tundra, basically. So it's very easy to just put the green screen on and there's nothing around. You can tell it's green screen. That's the thing, but it doesn't matter. It works out for what they do, and it's fine. I'm wondering how they'll deal, because Superman keeps getting those headaches and whatever these psychic attacks that happens between him and Bizarro. That perhaps they'll just do it that he adapts to it and can control it like everything else. Or if there's some sort of magic cure for it. Meanwhile, there's this mysterious necklace that Bizarro wears. He loses it in the fight, and the only surviving super kid is the kid who was introduced early on in the last season. So he's got it. I guess he took it back to the military, and they'll try to figure out what this is, and it'll be a clue as to Bizarro's origins and what have you. And now in the comics, it's Lex Luthor, so I don't know if they'll finally bring Lex Luthor in. They should. This is an important part of the Superman story. But then they might bait and switch and change it around. It's something else. But preferably it should be Lex Luthor. So anyway, so that's the main thing. You want to tune in to see that. Could have been a little more, but there's other things. There's Lois trying to save her sister, who has become involved in some weird cult led by Elizabeth Warren. Well, whatever. And obviously things are going to get very nasty. This cult leader is already outfoxed Lois and is cutting into her working relationship with the publisher and editor of the local paper at Smallville, and this sort of thing. So I guess they'll delve more into the background of what happened there. And Lois's sister, Lucy, who's just stunningly hot. Oh, man. But there's always a catch, because, boy, is she a problem, and she can't get her act together. She was living with Lois for a while, and then she ran off and got involved in this cult, because she's an insecure idiot, Lois was the smarter of the two. And there's some jealousy of Lois, because she has a life, she's married and has kids and all this, and Lucy is just floating around, not getting anything done, and so she falls into this cult and all of that. Plus, she blames Lois for their mother leaving, even though it wasn't Lois's fault. Apparently, Lois was 8 years old. This woman just split. And then she's mad at her because Lois just shut down and didn't want to even acknowledge her mother anymore. Well, she abandoned her when she was 8. So Lucy is just a mess. But she is her sister, and she's going to try to save her. And so that's the story they pursue there. Meanwhile, there's Jordan and Sarah. They seem to be back together, and everything's going great. They go to a store, and there's a robbery, and so Jordan uses his superpowers to prevent it. So he freezes the floor, and the would-be burglars slip and fall on it, and the booze they were stealing rolls out onto the floor, and they're like, "Oh crap!" So they quickly take off outside the door. So Jordan's like, "Yeah," and then Sarah's like, "Oh well, we gotta call the police," and she was like screaming at the robbers and stuff, and the girl behind the cashier said, "Don't worry about it. We've got cameras. The police they'll see everything that happened." So Jordan's like, oh. So he calls Grandpa, and Grandpa still has connections. He was in the military and intelligence, and so they were able to scramble the video. Sometimes deep state connections have their advantages. So there's no video footage of Jordan freezing the floor. So thanks, Grandpa. Yeah, you be careful about that. Well, later on, with all the troubles that Superman's having, and John Henry Irons is now in a coma in the hospital after the battle, Jordan comes to Grandpa and says, I need to help out Dad, and I need you to train me. And this is actually pretty smart. I mean, I know he's a kid and all that stuff, but Superman's got some kind of problem with Bizarro. He keeps having these headaches and stuff, so he needs backup. So Grandpa is like, "Yeah, all right, but we're going to keep this between the two of us, because obviously Clark and Lois would not like that, and they're not going to like it when they find out, and this will be another rift between Lois and her father and all that stuff. But ultimately, it's got to happen." And then I imagine the military is like, "Hey, Jordan, why don't we recruit you to be a part of our super team?" And then that could be a narrative they could pursue, all that type of stuff. So anyway, that's what they set up there. Finally, we have, and the political business of Lana Lang running for mayor. Well, the corrupt mayor is now threatening to expose her daughter's suicide attempt, so they have to deal with that and that kind of stuff, because political people are just absolute scum. So that's what would happen. It's exactly what would happen. So anyway, plus we learned that her father, he had a drinking problem, so the mayor's threatening to kind of use that too. And it turns out he had an affair with a female bartender and that sort of thing, and he never told Lana about it. So whoopsie. Yeah, that's gonna come out. So there you can see all the clouds forming, and finally Jonathan Kent, he discovered his girlfriend was dealing in the X-kryptonite stuff as an inhaler that gives you enhanced strength. Apparently it doesn't really give you the full scale of Superman powers, but it gives you some of it. And so, of course, Jonathan Kent, being Superman's son, even though he appears to have no powers, the Kryptonian genes are in him. So you can imagine this is going to go very differently for him than it does others. So he takes it, and everything's enhanced and whatnot. So far, it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. But, well, we know better, don't we? Yeah. So, there we are. Superman and Lois. And it's all plot points for the show overall, and they navigate them through the episode, and they do it fairly well. So you want more of the Bizarro stuff, of course, but that's really expensive, so you got to figure out how to weave it through these soap opera plots and make them interesting enough to keep you coming back for another episode. And as far as I'm concerned, they succeeded, so I, of course, we'll be watching the next one, and we'll review it for you right here on the Nailsin Ratings. Oh, yeah. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my many stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr. Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.